So today it is time for a blog hop. Yes, I said a blog hop. So I already gave you a little bit of insight into a content coaching cycle versus a classroom coaching cycle. And today I want to really explore a particular kind of content coaching cycle that I've developed and tried and had good results with. I think it's perfect for this virtual age. It's certainly something we can put into our virtual coaching toolbox. So content coaching cycles, you still have the same kind of cycle if you were in the classroom. We're going to invite teachers to collaborate. We're going to have an initial conversation and a shared vision of the content we're going to explore. But then rather than teaching together in the classroom, we're going to go through a professional learning collaboration. And that learning collaboration can look quite different. It could be a blog hop like I'll show you today. It could be watching a recorded webinar together. It could be listening to a couple of podcast episodes. It could be creating instructional resources together. Possibilities are endless. That work continues along with reflective conversations built in throughout the process, and certainly at the end as your collaboration comes to a close and perhaps you get ready for a new cycle. So another couple of possibilities. You could do a book study together. You could do the blog hop I'll show you today. You could redesign a particular aspect of your classroom, virtual or in person. Maybe you want to tackle your classroom library and make sure there are current and diverse books. Maybe you want to revamp your word wall to make sure that it's appropriate for all of your learners. Or maybe you want to focus on flexible seating. Maybe you want to decide to tackle digital anchor charts for virtual learning. You get the idea. You could create new instructional resources and learn a technology tool together. You could evaluate existing instructional resources and decide what you need next. And you could certainly watch webinars, videos, and recorded professional development together as well. And you've likely got a lot of ideas too. So while we don't have a live chat box right now, I'm hoping that you will take your ideas to the comments section in our course page. What kind of professional learning collaborations could you envision for a content coaching cycle? Now here's one of my blog hops. I really like the blog hop because it allows me to personally create a journey of learning for teachers. Now I love HyperDocs. I've got so many other resources on using HyperDocs with teachers, but I like to put the blog hop into a HyperDoc where teachers can pace themselves to the resources that I've carefully collected for them. So here's an example. You can see that picture on the left side of the page. A couple of years ago, too many years ago now, my children are too big, but a couple of years ago, I tiptoed into my son's room on a Friday night to give him one last kiss before bed, and I couldn't find my son. You can kind of see him underneath that lump of a blanket there, and he had all of the books off of his shelf with a sticky note on them and a number. And I couldn't quite figure out what he was doing. So, I took the books off of him, and in the morning, I said, Bud, when I came in to kiss you goodnight, I had to take a bunch of books off of your bed. What were you doing? What were those numbers on the sticky notes? And he said, well, I was trying to figure out what books on my shelf I could read and what books on my shelf I couldn't. And as I asked more and we got into conversation, it was quite clear that in his classroom library was leveled. And there were certain bins that he could go to and read from, and there were certain bins that he could not, all based on that number. And so that number carried its way into our home. Now, I know that that teacher wasn't trying to restrict students' reading, was not trying to make students feel a certain way about their reading abilities. However, over-leveling and using it beyond a teaching tool and into our students' minds and into their identities and into our classroom libraries and into publicly displayed charts of reading levels does have quite an impact on students. And so this is an area that is near and dear to my heart. So of course, it's a blog hop. If you were working with a teacher and you had a topic to explore together, you would create the blog hop. You could hop to different blog posts, different podcasts, different video clips, different resources from publishers. You can link to whatever you'd like. But I like linking to blogs because in the process, it introduces teachers to new teachers to follow, to add to their professional learning networks, and it gets them out in the internet in a great way to build professional capacity. So you can see I could take a teacher on a journey of these 5 blog posts that will help teachers think a little bit differently about how we might be using levels. Now, I could put it in a couple of different documents. You could put it in a plain old Google Doc, in a plain old Google slide, in a PDF, in a simple email, or even a s'more like this one. So I just took those same exact materials you saw and I put it in a s'more so that teachers could go to the website and scroll through. There we go, I was a little frozen. So you can see it's those same sites, but I give a little bit of a gist of what each one is, and I give the link, and I ask teachers to progress in order. And then we can come back together for a coaching conversation around it. So I personally love using s'mores because it just looks really great, really professionally packaged, but we could do the same thing as a hyperdoc in Google Docs, Google Slides, or like I said, even a simple email with 5 things to consider and read before we get together and figure out what our projects are going to be together. So here's another example. I was working with a group of teachers, actually at my university, who are learning to become reading specialists. And as we were learning about instructional materials for intervention, we really found that there's an over-reliance on Teachers Pay Teachers and Pinterest for our educational materials. Now, there's nothing wrong with Pinterest. I personally love Pinterest. There's nothing wrong with Teachers Pay Teachers. However, some of the materials that are put out there look better than they actually are, right? So the focus is on these beautifully packaged materials, and not all of them are research-based. Not all of them are based on exactly what your students need. So while there's some great resources, they really don't have a place in our early intervention program. Not to mention there's a whole bunch of issues with fair use and copyright. So as part of this content coaching cycle and a blog hop, we can pace ourselves through activities and readings and videos to answer the questions we have, like this one. How can we effectively evaluate the teaching resources we bring into our classrooms? So in this content coaching cycle, it started with a blog hop to just visit sites with all different materials and what we were noticing. And then the project that came out of that coaching cycle ended up being this document right here. A document that was co-created so that we could come together as a team and decide, how do we know which Pinterest activities, which Teacher Pay Teachers activities, which activities at all are appropriate to bring into our classroom? And so you'll see we decided to tackle phonological and phonemic awareness, letter naming and alphabetics, and word work and alphabetics. And we could certainly keep going, but this was the product that came out of one of those content coaching cycles, which actually was a group content coaching cycle. So it started with a blog hop to send us to all of these sites and figure out what we need to know about early literacy resources. And then through our conversations and our meeting, we ended up creating this product that now is something that teachers throughout the entire school could benefit from. I've linked to this in our course page if this kind of content coaching cycle works for you. Okay, so here's your try it today. I want you right now to grab a sticky note and I want you to brainstorm your ideas for a content coaching cycle. I already asked you a little bit about that earlier and hope that you'll share your ideas in the comment section of our course. What kind of formats could you offer? Blog hop? Just getting together for a paired book study? What kind of topics might you focus on? Digital reading workshop? Digital writing tools? Materials? You name it, you could create a blog hop or a content coaching cycle around it. And then think, who is a teacher that might be willing to give this a try? Especially if content coaching cycles and blog hops are new for you. What is one of your green light teachers? Who's one of those who are always willing to try something out? Create a digital invitation. I already learned how to do that. Create a fun digital invitation and invite a teacher to a blog hop on a topic of their choice. Once you know what that topic is, get to work curating and compiling your best resources and pull them together in an attractive looking document, even a nice formatted email, or you can try doing SMORE as well. So I'm hoping you'll share your ideas on the course page. And of course, if you end up making a blog hop, share that too. I'm envisioning this really great place where if we all share our blog hops together, imagine the resources that we would have for our coaching. So that's it for today. Keep brainstorming, bring those ideas to the course page, and I hope that you give this blog hop idea a try.